So this is going to be my non-spoiler review of Scream 7. Let's talk about the positives of this movie first, and we'll talk about the negatives because this movie is far from perfect. Neve Campbell returns as Sydney Prescott in her role of a lifetime. Neve looks like she's still having a great time doing this. She's taking it seriously. This doesn't feel like a paycheck for her. This is her role, and she is Scream. So for fans who have been fans since the beginning, you have to love that Neve Campbell's back. And she took this seriously, did an amazing job. She's evolved her character where now she's a mother taking care of her daughter, Tatum, who's played by Isabel May. In terms of the character arcs, this is the best part of the movie for me. It's their relationship that is the heart of this movie. And it's good that you actually feel for some of these characters. Just not the original legacy character like Sidney Prescott, but you do feel something for her daughter, Tatum. They spend a lot of time at the beginning. For some people, it might be a little too slow pace, but honestly, it feels like they've been around for a long time. If that relationship doesn't work for you, then this movie will probably not work for you. It's great to see the legacy characters again. Courtney Cox returns as Gail, just like Neve. It's like they never left. It comes natural to them. It's something that they loved to do. It doesn't feel like a paycheck for her, but she has an important role in here. I'm not going to spoil anything, but that relationship that they had from the previous movies just feels natural, and it's a welcome sight to see those two together again. So I know there's a lot of negative reviews out there, and I didn't want to read any of the specifics of those negative reviews because that kind of clouds your mind when you go into a movie. So this is my honest review, and if you go into it with an open mind, I think you'll be able to find aspects of the movie that you love. And one of the other aspects of it is what you want to see in a horror movie is some horror, some suspense, some tense moments. And there's a lot of it, especially in the first two acts of the movie. The first act was pretty tense, pretty long, a great first act to get things going. And as the movie went on, a lot of the movie takes place in dark settings. You see the mood, you see some shadows, you see Ghostface hiding in the background. So there's a lot of tense moments. They really do a good job of making you feel that this is actually a horror movie and not just some killing spree without some tense moments. If this was just stab, 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 no pun intended, then it probably wouldn't have been as enjoyable as it was. And not only was it tense and suspenseful at times, the brutality of the killings have been some of the most brutal killings you've ever seen in a Scream movie. I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a couple of them, especially one near the end that I just was not expecting. I had to turn away a couple times. The audience was really into it. They were screaming. They were laughing at times, and sometimes I feel like you need to laugh when some of these things are just a little bit too wild, too brutal, too unexpected. One of the kills was especially one of the kills was especially gruesome, and you just had to laugh. I think it was done purposefully. I think they meant for it to be super funny, but these movies have always been a little bit funny. They don't take it too seriously all the time. But this movie really tried to be a little bit more serious, a little bit more dark. And I like how the director pushed it in that direction where it felt a little bit more tense. It felt a little bit more suspenseful. It didn't just feel like something that was done before. The things that really surprised me about this movie that I don't think I really paid attention to over the last 2-3 movies in the series, and maybe just because it wasn't as good, but the score was just doing it for me. It really felt tense. It really felt suspenseful. It felt like a 90s retro score. You could feel the intensity build and build. The score just felt like they actually paid attention to it. And I love it when a movie has a great score, especially for a horror film. Sometimes you don't really recognize it, like the last two Scream movies for me. I don't know why. Maybe I just didn't pay attention to it. But because the movie took its time, because it was so suspenseful, because it was so tense, it wasn't just, your typical stabbing. It really felt like they They paid attention and made it even more suspenseful than what it would have been if the score wasn't as good. As I mentioned before, what was a huge positive of this movie is the OG legacy characters, but it also could be a negative because this movie is full of fan service. Hey, I'm a fan, I want to be served, but sometimes it could be a little too much. There's too many times that they're like, look at this from the past. Remember this person. Let's name drop this person. Even the beginning of the movie, you've seen it in the trailer, so this isn't a spoiler. They go back to a replica house, Airbnb, where they have all the deaths. They have posters. They just keep talking about the past. Hey, remember this death? Remember this person? It's kind of a little bit too much in your face. I heard that this movie had a lot of rewrites because of what happened in the last two movies and some of the actors that aren't in here. So it did feel like a lot of stuff was just forced in there, which is fine. Again, I'm fine with fan service, but sometimes it could be a little bit too much. I'm not going to go into spoilers of who is in this movie because I think a couple people are already known, but if you don't know, I don't want to spoil it. And sometimes it's like, oh man, they really ran out of ideas that they really had to go back and just kind of like remember this person. Second, that was a little bit negative for me. The movie is short. It's under 2 hours, but it feels longer than 2 hours. The pacing sometimes between kills gets a little bit too slow. It's very exposition heavy. Again, it's a little mixed bag of what made it good, learning the relationship between Tatum and Sydney, but it also takes its time. So sometimes it just feels like it's dragging on for a little bit too long. So sometimes the pacing gets a little bit off, where the movie could have done better with a little bit more cuts and even a little bit shorter. The 2 hours honestly felt way more than 2 hours. And finally, without getting into many spoilers, the first two acts really did it for me. There's a lot of gruesome kills, and even the beginning of the third act was working for me. But as you get to the end of the movie and you get to the reveals are supposed to be great, right? Something that you've been looking forward to throughout the movie. You're guessing who done it. Just like the last movie, the reveals of the killers didn't do it for me. And for some of you, it's probably not going to do it for you either. Like, who are these people? Do they even matter? I hope that doesn't turn you off from seeing this movie. But yeah, in the end, it felt a little bit flat. It didn't feel as earned as I wanted it to be. And when that happens in the third act, that is a little bit disappointing. Does it take away from the first two acts that I thought were really good? No, it doesn't. But when you have the third act, when you don't stick the landing, it's definitely going to leave a negative taste in your mouth. So in the end, guys, this isn't a perfect movie at all. In the end, guys, this isn't a perfect movie at all. Is there some truth to some of the negative reviews that you are going to read? Some of the Rotten Tomato scores that you see, it's already rotten at 40%. I don't think it's ever going to go up being fresh, just the way it's trending. Yeah, there's going to be some stuff that you're not going to enjoy, but the stuff that really mattered to me is the OG legacy characters. Was it a good reason for them to come back? It was great to see them. Courtney Cox as Gale Weathers. It really felt good to see them again. They looked like they were having a good time. They took this seriously. Sort of a passing the torch to the daughter, who was awesome. She did a great job. I've never seen her in a movie before. So those characters really did great. The killings, the deaths were amazing. Some of the most gruesome killings you've ever seen from the franchise. It still has its humor. It's still a little bit meta. Everything you liked about Scream is in this movie. Could it have been better? Sure. Are there some negatives? Yes. With the pacing, the overall third act, not the best. But overall, this is definitely a dope for me. Not the dopest of movies it could be, but it's not a nope. If you're a fan of Scream, I think you're going to like this movie. Are you going to be a little bit disappointed if you liked the last two movies and you wanted them to move on to something new? Probably. It looks like they did some rewrites. Looks like they didn't have that much new stuff to go on, but this is the seventh movie. I don't know what you guys are expecting at this point. It was fun. It was gruesome. It was funny. I had a good time. So let me know in the comments what you think. What's your favorite Scream movie ever? If you've seen this movie and you think it's dope, type dope in the comments and make that a double D. If you don't like it, type nope. If you're new to my channel, go check out my other reactions and reviews. I do early trailer reactions of these movies. Then I go and do typically an out of theater reaction before the movie comes out. But there weren't that many press screenings for this one for whatever reason. But most of the reviews I do are before the general public gets to see it. And I'll do my Nope or Dope review, compare it to my reaction. So if you want to see that and more of that, subscribe now, hit that like button. Thanks for joining me. I'll check you out later. Peace.